मामि शंकराचार्य गुरुपाद सरोरुहम् यस्य प्रसादान् मूढोऽपि सर्वज्ञोऽहं सदा भवम् कामाक्षी करुणारूपं कामकोटि जगद्गुरुं चिन्मूर्तिं गलये चित्ते शंकराचार्यमभ्ययम् भक्ताग्रगिरिसम्भूता शंकरार्णवगामिनी पुनातु भुवनं पुण्या श्रीगुरोः चरितापगा वेद वेदांत साम्राज्य धर्म कामार्थमोक्षदम् विद्यारण्यं नमः पुण्यं यो विद्यारण्यमत्यनत् सदाशिव श्री ब्रह्मेन्द्र धृत स्वपद पादुकान् धीरान् परशिवेन्द्रार्यान् ध्यायामि सततं हृदि देवे देहे च देशे च भक्त्यारोग्य सुखप्रदं बुध पामर सेव्यन्तं श्री जयेन्द्रं नमाम्यहम् नमामः शंकरान् वाक्य विजयेन्द्र सरस्वती श्रीगुरुं शिष्टमार्गानुनेतारं सन्नतिप्रदं सत्यनारायण क्षेत्रात् सत्यव्रतमुपागतम् आश्रये कामकोटीशं सत्यश्री चंद्रशेखरं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शंकराचार्यमध्यमान् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां. Last year, which was the year of the 2500th Aradhana of Srimad Shankara Bhagavatpāda, when our Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Moolamnaya Sarvagya Pithadipati, Jagadguru Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Shankaracharya Swamigal performed Abhisheka to Ramanatha Swami at Rameshwaram with his own hands and thereby completed his Tirtha Yatra. Starting from that auspicious occasion, with the prarthana of doing anusandhana of all the original Shankara Vijaya texts, we have started this prayatra and currently we are examining the Anandagiriya Shankara Vijaya, which was composed by one Anandagiri, a direct disciple of Shri Bhagavatpāda. And in this 34th session of this Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda Aradhana Upanya, we are about to examine starting from the 52nd prakarana of this text. And in this Shankara Vijaya, the author has been describing in detail how Bhagavatpāda had discussions with the followers of various matas. In the Ramavali of Bhagavatpāda, it is said Dusaptati Matotchetre Namaha. And though it is said Uchchetre, what is actually intended is that, and what was seen in the earlier prakaranas is that by performing discussions with the observers of all these matas, who were taking some amshas from the Vedic traditions but adding their own, sometimes imaginary or sometimes from other sources, additional factors, practices which were against the Vedas, against the Shastras, and they used to claim that these were the correct ways towards moksha. And Bhagavatpāda used to correct it with very much karuna towards all these people, followers, and that we saw in the earlier prakaranas. And until the previous prakarana, where Bhagavatpāda even discussed with the followers of the Bhuta Vetala Matas, the entire section of Matantara Vimarsha has been completed. And from this prakarana, the Charitra part is starting up. And here, the meeting of Sri Shankara Bhagavatpāda with Vyasacharya is described. Evam ashesha mata nibarhanam krutva dinamano dinamadhyangate manikarnika thire nipidhyasana lalase paramaguru. So after completing the debates with all the other matas, on one day when the sun was at his highest position in the middle of the sky, at Manikarnika Tira in Varanasi Kshetra, when Bhagavatpāda was in Nididhyasana meditating that this self is none other than not meditating, but rather being immersed in the realization that this self is none other than the Paramatma which is present everywhere. Bhagavan Vyasakila Sthavira Brahmana Iva Samagatya. Bhagavan Vedavyasa, who was very much senior to Bhagavatpāda in the Acharya Parampara and is to be respected by Bhagavatpāda, he came to that location in the form of an aged Brahmana. Shat Sahasra Shishya Sametam Prabhathavratam Ishamiva Devavratam Indraviva Rishyavratam Brahmanaviva Drishtva Koyam Ittakshivat. So it is said that Bhagavatpāda had 6,000 Shishyas in those days, and it was as if Parameshwara was surrounded by the Pramatha Ganas the Devendra was surrounded by the Devas, or Brahma was surrounded by the sages. And looking at this Acharya, the aged Brahmana who came, "Hey, who is this?" He shouted this. "Shishyastam maya veshadharinam idamuchuhu srunu vruddha paranandaguru shankara namakah setu prabhrati desheshu matadhonsaram acharan bhashyam kritva brahmasotra tatparyartha vinarnayam advaitarthapabodhena shishyan kritva vivekinah jayatyebehi gangaya stiravirbhuta rudravatu." Oh, aged person, listen. This guru who gives the greatest bliss, by name Shankara, he has been defeating the incorrect practices starting from Setu Rameshwara Kshetra, as we saw in earlier Prakarnas, and he has composed a bhashya to the Brahmasutras to give the proper conclusion as to the intended meaning of the Brahmasutras. Advaitarthava bodhena shishyan kritva vivekana. So he taught his shishyas the clear meaning of Advaita, and he is victorious. His Vijay Yatra continues at this place of this Ganga Tira as if Parameshwara himself were manifest. Evamukta sthaviropi shishya sanghamaditya kampat palita shiraha Shankaracharya vidamaha. So once they said this, that aged Brahmana, he crossed all these people and shaking his aged head, just full of white hairs, he comes and speaks to Bhagavatpāda. Yate, oh sannyasin, bhavatādhikrat kimus Brahmasutra parishramah. Oh, have you accomplished something in the Brahmasutras? Acharya replies, apparently by the shouting, he came out of Nitinchasana. Paramaguruhu Acharya tam samiksha idamavadit. Ho vipra, putra bhavatah praveshaha tatreva vachmi. Oh Brahmana, where is your interest? I will speak to you on that exact topic. Vruddha punaraha tatantara pratipattau rohati samparishvaktah prashna nirupanaabhyam iti sutrasya ovartho bhavatādhikataha. So the aged person, he quotes from the Brahmasutras, the third adhyaya, first pada, very first sutra. He asks Bhagavatpāda, what is the meaning that you have understood for this sutra? So Vyasacharya, he was the person who actually composed the sutra, and he is questioning Bhagavatpāda on the meaning that Bhagavatpāda has understood. Punarjagata paramaguruhu bhuta sukshmai samparishvakta eva tadantara pratipattau dehantara pratipattau prauhati gacchati jivaha linga sharira baddhaha paralokam. So the discussion here is whether when the jiva leaves one body and goes to another, whether he takes bhuta sukshmas along with him. What are the bhuta sukshmas? What is intended here is that, see, everybody has, each jiva has three shariras. One is the karana sharira, which is composed of that maya, which makes this jiva to continue in this samsara. And it also contains the karmashaya, whatever karmas that this person, that the jiva has accumulated in the previous births due to this maya. And because of this karana sharira, he enters various thola shariras, physical bodies, and it is obviously at the time of transiting from one body to another, we mean leaving one physical body. But there is one sharira in the between these two, which is the sukshma sharira, which is composed of the sukshma panchamahabhutas, and it is composed of the panchapranas, the indriyas, the shaktis of seeing, doing, and so on. So it is regarding this particular sukshma sharira that the question comes. When one jiva leaves one physical body, sthula sharira, to go to another physical body, is the sukshma sharira taken with him or not? So this may sound as an academic point, but it is a legitimate discussion to understand what is the teaching of the Vedas. So when one is to take up tadantara pratipattau, another body, dehantara pratipattau, prauhati, he moves along with his linga sharira or the sukshma sharira, which is composed of the sukshma bhutas. So this is the conclusion, that is the siddhanta of that adhikarana discussion. Vruddhopyevamaha, so the Vruddha, he objects to this. Bhutanam sarvadesha samatvad karmanukula gatragrahanam tatreva karoto yatra deha arabdhavya iti. So why is this necessary for somebody to carry all this sukshma sharira from one place to another, wherever it is the place where that jiva has to take the next birth? All the Panchamahabhutas are available all over the universe. So wherever it may be that he has to take another janma, he can procure a sukshma sharira from the Panchamahabhutas, sukshma bhutas, which are present there itself. Why to carry something from here to there? Punaha paramagururaha vruddha tattvam aviditam bhavata shrinu tatahi dehabijayir bhuta sukshmi samparishvakto ramahadi gacchati vagantavyam kutaha prashna nirupanabhyam. See, it is not a question of what is convenient and what is not convenient. See, the entire matter of transiting from one sharira to another, whether even life exists beyond the sharira, asti tyeke, nayam asti iti cheke, such questions have been put up in the Vedas itself. And it is from the Vedas that we can know whatever is the atindriya vishaya, which is beyond our common normal senses. And it is that Veda which tells us in the form of a discussion, a question, and an explanation by way of answer, that a jiva goes along with the sukshma sharira. Tathahi prashnaha petha yatha panchamyam ahuto apah purusha vataso bhavanti. So there is a discussion in the Chandogya Upanishad where a king asks Sir Rishi Kumara, do you know how waters, what waters, I will explain presently. At the time of the fifth Ahuti, they take up the name of man. So just by giving a literal translation, it is very difficult to understand anything, but it will be presently explained. Nirupanancha prativachanam. So the procedure here, what is happening here, what is being spoken here is that the Dehantara Yatra, when one jiva leaves one physical body, one stula sharira, to go to another physical body, what is the procedure? So there are 5 Agnis which are picturized here. Why Agni? Because Agni was the Pradhana Ashraya, for it is very important for the Upasanas in our Vaidika Sanatana Dharma. And even today, though such Agni Upasana is much lesser, whatever pujas, satkarma anushtanas that you do, and in fact it is extended to even any asat karmas, wrong deeds that you can commit. So whatever punya papa karma that you are accumulating, that punya papa karma, here it is just like you are giving ahutis in the fire, and through those ahutis all sorts of water vapor and other things will rise, that we know. And when that happens, that is in the course of a person executing all these, committing all these deeds, whether good or bad, his karma at the time of his leaving one body, that karma is considered to be given as an ahuti, that shraddha, whatever the word jala, that is water. Water refers to the sukshma form of the ahuti, or in fact the sukshma form of the karmas that this person has accumulated in this birth. So it is given as an ahuti in the paraloka, to be precise, the duloka, bhumihi antariksham deohu, the third loka from here in which the sun shines, and that loka, duloka, is considered as an agni. And in that Agni, this Ahuti of Shraddha or the Purva Karmas is given. So from that Agni, what is created is what is called the Sharirarambhaka Dravya. A very Sukshma, we can say a collection of matter, a very subtle form of matter, which is the cause for this Jiva to take up another body on this earth. And what next happens is that the second Agni, see the first Agni was Dhuloka, the Agni, the physical Agni in this loka in which Ahuti is done, that is not counted here because that is obviously Pratyaksha and it is not part of the Upasana, the Vidya or the knowledge which is being described here. The first Agni is the Juloka in which this karma has been given as Ahuti. And that Deharambhaka Dravya which comes out of that Agni, it is given as Ahuti in another Agni. That Agni is called Parjanya. Parjanya is the Devata who creates rain. And this Sharir Arambhaka Dravya, it is given as Ahuti into this Parjanya Devata in the form of, who is imagined to be of the form of an Agni. And from that, what is produced? Rain is produced. See, whatever drops of rain that fall to the earth, so many jivas in the form of so many Sharirarambhaka Dravyas taking up so many such Sukshma Dravyas, they come to the earth. Whether they are to be born or human beings or anything else, they come to the earth by getting attached to all these raindrops. That is what the Shastra says. And from that Parjanya, what is produced? Vrishti. And that Vrishti is given as an Ahuti to this Loka, this Prithvi, which is also considered as an Agni. And when the Ahuti of Vrishti is given here, what is produced out of that? Oshadhi Vanaspatis, all sorts of green plants and other such things, they come out. See, other lesser living animals, they eat all this grass or other such things. And humans mostly, they take up the dhanyas are coming from all these plants and they cook them and eat it. Either way, the jivas which are attached to the vrishti bindus, the drops of rain, they enter into the anna, the food, the plant-based food that is created from the Prithvi Agni. And that Agni, that anna which is produced, it is given as Ahuti into another Agni. That Agni is Purusha. Purusha meaning a male living being, whether human or otherwise, which can create offspring. So then from this Ahuti, when that Anna goes, through that Anna, this Jiva goes into a male body. And from that, another Dravya is created, that Virya, which is capable of creating a Garbha, creating a child, that Virya is created. And that Virya is given as Ahuti into the fifth Agni, which is a female body, a woman, who is Shri. And when this Virya is given as Ahuti into that Agni, the fifth Agni, then it takes up the form of a Garbha. And from that, it takes a new birth. So this is what is intended by the question of that king towards the Rishi Kumara, which do you know how at the point of the fifth Ahuti, when that fifth Ahuti of that Virya goes into the Agni of Shri, it takes up the form of a Garbha. Do you know this process? Was the question that was asked and described in the upcoming sections. So all this very clearly indicates that this Jiva who goes to the Paraloka, to the Duloka, along with all his Punyamapa karmas, he takes up that Sharirarambhaka Dravya, which is of the form of a Sukshma Bhuta, and he comes and step by step, he enters into another Sharira, Jiva Sharira. So this is the explanation. This is the question, which is the explanation, the reply given by Bhagavatpāda to that Vriddha. To which the Vriddha again counters, Bhoyate, Anyashrutihi Jalukavatu Purvadehanna Munchati Yavad Dehantaranna Akramati iti Darshayati. So that Vriddha, the elderly person, he counters, quoting some other Shruti Vakya, which says that this Jiva is like that Jaluka. Jaluka is you can call it a worm, which transits from one blade of grass to another. See, what it does is it goes to the end of this blade of grass, it extends its body and it puts its front feet on the next blade of grass, and then it takes the hind feet, the back feet, from the previous blade of grass, and thus it goes from one grass to another. So this is also described in the Shrutis. Then it indicates that a Karana Sharira can directly go from one Sthula Sharira to another, without the necessity of carrying all these Sukshma Shariras along with it. And to this Acharya replies, Bho Vrdha, Tatrabi Apariveshtita Seva Jivasya, Karmopasthapita Pradipattavya Deha Vishaya, Bhavana Dirkhi Bhava Matram Jalukaya Pamiyate iti. So Acharya replies, see, you cannot simply quote one Shruti and take some particular meaning just by looking at that Shruti and disregarding all the other Shrutis. See, all Shruti Vakyas are Pramanas, so you have to attach due importance to each and every Shruti Vakya. So this, yes, granted that this Shruti Vakya which you quote describing like the insect, it does exist, but we also have to take it in conjunction with the earlier Panchagni Vidya Shruti Vakyas which indicate that Prakriya. So then what we have to conclude as the meaning of this Jaluka, that insect Shruti, is that when a Sukshma Sharira, it has some indication, internal indication, it may not be very clear externally, that it has to go to another Sthula Sharira. That is when it starts dissociating itself from one Sthula Sharira, right? And when it goes like that, then it is definitely surrounded by the Panchamahabhutas, the Sukshma Bhutas, as was described earlier. Punar Vrdha Idamaha Vyapinam Karananam Atmanashcha Dehantara Pradipatto Karmavasad Vrittilabhastatra Bhavati Indriyani tu Dehavatu Abhinamanyeva Tatra Tatra Bhogasthane Utpadyante Manayeva Va Kevalam Bhogasthanam Abhipratishthate Jiva Eva Va Utplutya Dehat Dehantaram Pratipadyate Sukha Iva Vrikshad Vrikshantaram Prati. So again, the elderly person gives out many other counter opinions. He says that we can see the Indriyas are created through the Panchamahabhutas, as mentioned earlier. They are available everywhere, and it's just like a physical body, Sthula Sharira, is created at the point where this person has to go and be born and live. Then there, that just like that physical Sharira is Sthula Sharira is created, the Sukshma Sharira also can be likewise created. Or at least we say that the Manas goes from here to there, not all the other Karanas also. Or even disregard the Manas, as I mentioned earlier, it is sufficient to say that the Karana Sharira jumps from one body, Sthula Sharira, to another, just like a parrot flies from one tree to another. Itif patati bhavanmatavanarham shruti virodhat udahritabhyam prashna pratibhajanabhyam केवलाभिरद्भिस्सम्परिष्वक्तो रोहति इति प्राप्नोति अपशब्दश्रवण सामर्थ्यात् तत्र कथं सामान्येन प्रतिज्ञायते सर्वैरेव भूतसूक्ष्मैः संहतो सम्परिष्वक्तो रम्भति इति यदि उच्येत. So the Acharya says that look, all these other alternate opinions are not as per the Shrutis, to which it might be objected saying that, see here in this particular Shruti, this Shruti is not so clear or correct. It says that the Jiva goes only surrounded by water, Jala. But how is that correct? So, or if that has to be accepted, then how can we say that he goes taking up all the Panchamahabhutas in the Sukshma form along with him, or the Indriyas which are created through these Sukshma Bhutas, he takes them along with him? How is it possible to say this from Shruti Vakya? Tatra idamuttaram sutrameva triatmakatvatva bhujastvaditi. So, here the reply to this, why water is particularly mentioned, is as follows. So, there is this prakriya called Trivritkarana, by which, when considering the Srishti or the Prapancha being formed by Prithvi, the physical sthula element of earth, you can call it, then Jala, then Tejas. These three bhutas were created, and in this prakriya, the creation of Vayu and Akasha is not considered. And these three bhutas, they mix together to create the whole world. That is how it has been described. But there is actually the higher prakriya, which says that, which is the Panchikarana prakriya, which says that all Panchamahabhutas, including Vayu and Akasha, they also mix. So there is no place where there is only one of these bhutas without association with the other bhutas. So when this is so, yes, we know that this Sthula Sharira, of course, this Sharira doesn't flow here and there, so it is a Sthula Sharira. It is Prithvi Pradhana, but as far as the external structure is concerned. But inside, even modern science, we know that the whole body is composed mostly of water. So that is why this importance of water has been given. And so it is not correct to say that when this Siddhanta has been accepted, it is not correct to say that only water goes from here to there. So all the Panchamahabhutas are taken along with it. So even though we know that this physical body is Prithvi Pradhana, but the two dravyas which combine together to create a physical body, those two dravyas are in liquid fluid form. So there also water, the Jaladravya has clearly an importance. And of course, karmacha nimitta karanam dehantararambhe. So the karma of the person, it is also an extra reason for creation of a, I mean, it is not the extra reason, it is in fact the main reason for taking up a new sharira. Karmani cha Agnihotraadini, Soma, Ajya, Payah, Prapriti, Dravadravya Vyapashrayani. So all these karmanushtaras, mostly they are also involving lots of liquid dravyas. And it is said Shraddhava, Apaha, and so many other such Vedic passages indicate the deep connection of water or the Jaladravya along with the karmanushtanas. So that is why it is said that whatever karmanushtanas he has performed or to extended to satkarmas or asatkarmas that a person has performed, they are all described by the word water. And the ahuti, in the form of an ahuti, they are given into the Juloka. That was what was mentioned earlier. And further, pranagatescha, pranancha dehantara pratipatto gatishruyate. So even the the pancha pranas, which are formed of the Vayu Bhuta, and those pancha pranas, Pramutkramantam, Pranonutkramanti, when the jiva leaves a body, and the prana along with him, it goes. And Pranamanutkramantam, Sarve Prananutkramanti. When prana goes out, then all the other indriyas are evacuated. So this is the Siddhanta, when even though Bhagavatpāda was giving such explanations, that Vriddha, that old man, he was again and again arguing insistently. So even we see in great people, they would be Karuna Murtis, but when somebody speaks slightingly or disparagingly about the Vedas, it is very difficult for such even such elders to be without attaining anger. So Bhagavatpāda seems to have gotten quite angry towards this Vriddha, and he speaks to Padmapada, his Shishya, saying, this elderly person is again and again making insistent arguments. He does not seem to understand the Shruti Vakyas, so you can remove him from this place. Yehanam Parapaksha Shreshtham Vriddham Utsarja Duram Utsarja iti. Satu Gurubhir Evamuktobi Tushti Masa. But the Acharya Padmapada Acharya did not do that. In fact, Padmapada Acharya, who became Padmapada by coming immediately once the Guru called, even from the other side of the Ganga, that is when the lotuses bore his feet and he became known as Padmapada. That Padmapada Acharya did not execute this order. So he knows, because he is the Vishnu Avatara, Shri Shobhutsa Sanandanaha, that this is an avatar of Vishnu. And if we consider it that way, then why cannot we say that Bhagavatpāda is the avatar of Shiva? How come Bhagavatpāda did not know that the person who came was Vyasacharya? But anyway, here this Swarasya that the Shishya is pointing out this to the Guru, and other Swarasyas which I will be mentioning, those are to be understood here. Satu Gurubir Evamuktobi Tushti Masa Vruddhopi Yativakya Shravanat Swayameva Ashu Dura Magamat. So though Padmapada did not make any efforts, that elderly person immediately upon hearing the words of this sannyasi, immediately went far away. Tata Shishyaha Paravagurunatva Idamaha Shankara Sakshad Yaso Narayana Swayam Yor Vivade Samprapte Kinkara Kinkaromyaham. So this is a very well known verse, and it is present here. This Shishya Padmapada, he does namaskara to Bhagavatpāda, the Guru, and he says this shloka. You are Shankara, an avatar of Sakshat Parameshwara, that Shankara. And the person who came was Vyasa, who is an avatar of Mahavishnu. So when Vyasa and Bhagavatpāda, Shankara Bhagavatpāda or Mahavishnu and Shiva are discussing and what is the role of a Kinkara like me in that particular context. And just we should note the beauty of certain things here. Padmapada, when that person, that Vyasacharya or the Vriddha Brahmana was present, Padma did not reply to his Guru. He obviously disagreed with the orders of the Guru, but he gave respect to that Guru by staying silent in front of a person who was come from outside. But when that person has gone outside, even then, Padmapada presents the matter in such a beautiful, very polite and courteous way, and to which Bhagavatpāda replies. So Bhagavatpāda understands. So Devamukta Swami Damaha Sayeshav Yasasched Anupapagatiki Anupama Sayeshav Yasasched Anupamamatihi. So he said that Vyasacharya Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, that Vyasa of unparalleled intellect, Sagasam Apimam Avatu Advaitarthanubhava Bahirasta Smriti Matim. So even though I have committed the error of ordering you to send him away, that was showing him disrespect. But even then, Yathabharur Medhyadishu Samakara Sarvabhogabi Prapujyo Vanishcha, that Vyasacharya, he is all equanimity, he bears equanimity to everybody, but he knows that Sayeshav Vyasasched Anupamamatihi Sagasam Apimam Avattvadvaitarthanubhava Bahirasta Smriti Matim. So if it is true that the person who came was Vyasacharya of unparalleled intellect, Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, as we say, Sagasam Apimam. Yes, I have committed the error of showing him disrespect by telling you to remove him from this place. But he will protect me because my mind does not go outside the Advaita Artha Anubhava. My thoughts do not think of anything else other than that Advaita Artha, and therefore that Vyasacharya will protect me. Yatha bhanuhu medhyadishu samakaraha. So as like the sun who shines his rays upon all things, whether they are clean or unclean, sarvabhukapi prabhujyo vinhischa. So just like Agni, he will burn whatever it may be, whether it is clean or unclean. Likewise, that Vyasacharya, he maintains equanimity towards all living beings. So praharanaja dukkham tyajatu saha. So this the displeasure which might have occurred due to the disrespect shown to him, may that Vyasacharya discard such displeasure towards me. Yad Yadvaitartha Siddhantaha Swasutrena Upabruhitaha Hayatu Swayamevadya Vyasaha Shishya Janapriyaha. So if it is true that whatever the Advaita Siddhanta that I have described in this Bhashya, it is that Advaita Siddhanta which was embodied by Vyasacharya in his sutras, then I pray, may that Vyasacharya come back again by himself, because he is Shishya Janapriya. I am his Shishya. I am explaining the same Advaita Siddhanta that he wrote the sutras to demonstrate. And he is Priya towards, he is affectionate towards all his Shishyas. So may that Vyasacharya come back. Advaita Bhashya Kartaram Bhatumam Bhadarayanaha Saeva Paramarthashched Bhidas Mithya Bhavedyadi. May that Bhadarayanam Vyasacharya protect me, because I have composed the Advaita Bhashya of these Brahma Sutras. If that Advaita is the Paramartha, the absolute truth, and if Veda, if all the dualities and the variations are Mithya, are an illusion. Vyasam Sanjabinam Sreshtham Sarananjami Sarvada Sayeva Adya Prasannatma Harat Akhila Tamasam. I resort to that, I take refuge in that Vyasacharya, who is the greatest of the tapasvis, and that Prasanna Atma, may he remove whatever negative qualities which might have even for an instant come inside me because I spoke such words. Shankaracharya evam stuto Vyasaha sarvasamaiva sarvajnaiva samakshamavirasi. By one immediately when Bhagavatpāda prayed thus, Bhagavat Vyasacharya, who is equal towards all living beings and who knows everything, he immediately was manifest in front of Bhagavatpāda. Guruhu Swaminastasya Dvadasha Pradakshinādi Vandarani Kritva. So Bhagavatpāda did Pradakshina to that Swami Vyasacharya, or 12 times Pradakshina, and did Namaskara. So this seems to be have been a tradition which was there in those days, because earlier also in that Guru Stuti Prakarana we have seen the same thing. And Tadanshaha Tshishyoham iti Vijnapya Brahmasutra Bhashyam Nijakritam Abadat. So he submits to Vyasacharya, I am but a part of you, or it may be that I am merely a disciple to you. Please, this is the Brahmasutra Bhashya which I have composed. Thus saying, Bhagavatpāda submits that Sutra Bhashya to Vyasacharya. Sato Bhashyam Samyoga Avalokya Paramagurum Alingya Idamaha. So Vyasacharya examined that Bhashya and he embraced Bhagavatpāda, and he says, Sutranam tu pararthaika tatparyam viditam tvaja. So you have very clearly understood, correctly understood that these sutras are dedicated towards the Paramapurushartha. Madashayastu Durgyayaha hi acharyastvam jagatpatihi. But it is not very easy to understand my opinion by merely reading the sutras. But you are, of course, the Jagadishwara. So you are the suitable acharya to teach this. Shiva iva shishya janaughihi urvyanchara bhashyam upadishannashu Vrityan Shuddhadvaita Vidah Kuru Loka Lokan Anyamargaga Yathanasyuhu. So, like Parameshwara, you travel throughout this earth along with all your shishyas, and immediately, quickly start. You go and spread this bhashya, and whoever does service to you, make them should attain that pure Advaita knowledge, so that they do not go to other wrong paths. This is the Upadesha of Vyasacharya. Ityananta Anandagiri Kritau Vyasa Darshanam Nama Prakaranam Dvipanchasham. Thus ends this 52nd Prakarana. And the next is a very small Prakarana, the 53rd one. Evam Uktva Yasyami Tucharantam Munishwaram Natva Idamaha Sarvagya Madantodya Bhavishyati. So when Vyasacharya says, okay, I will take my leave of you, then Bhagavatpāda prostrates to him and says that, oh omniscient one, Sarvagya Madantodya Bhavishyati, my end of my avatara will happen right now. Pranotkramanam Ikshya Adya Yasya Sitvam Dayanidhe. Oh compassionate one, may you please stay here and see when I leave this body. And Tvatpada Sannidher Yogat Muktevaha Madvajaha. Even though I am in my real form, I am always liberated, already ever liberated, but I would like to leave this particular physical body in the presence of your Sarana Kamala, of your lotus feet. Ityukta Shankaracharya Midamaha Granvitaha Katham Pravritir Bhashyasya Gatetvayi Jagatyalam. So when Bhagavatpāda said this, Vyasacharya was filled with compassion, and he says, if you leave this world, then how will this bhashya be spread out? Tasmad Advaita Bodhaya Sthiro Bhava Paravare. So to spread the knowledge of Advaita, you should stay on further here. Agyaptopyeva Acharya Punaraha Munishwaram. You should stay on in this world. But Acharya says, Shodasheshu Sharatswadya Madayu Sthitirityataha. So, but Bhagavatpāda refuses or says that it is not possible for him, because only 16 years of age. Actually, it was at 8 years of age when that crocodile caught him, and he took sannyasa and he relieved himself from that. And now he says that his age is only, his total age is only destined to be 16. Vyasastu Akarshayamasa Brahmanam Srishti-karanam. But Vyasa was not about to accept this, and he says that, oh, is that Brahma who wrote the ayus of everybody, the lifespan of everybody in that. Let me bring that Brahma. Brahmapyavadi devam hi swatantra shankara prabhu duštāchāra vināṣāya prādurbhūto mahītale seva shankarācārya sakshat kailasanayakah yavad icchabdam urvyam hi sthitva paschāt gamishyati. Brahma immediately says, "Hey, this is Sakshat Parameshwara Shri Shankara. He is free to do whatever he wishes. He has taken this avatara to eradicate all the dushta acharas, and he is actually the Kailasapati himself. So how many ever number of years that he wants to stay, he will definitely, he is capable of staying in this world and then leaving. He is only showing me respect by saying that this is the lifespan designated for him and so on." Anandagiri Tripanchasham Prakaranam. And the next, again, a very smaller Prakaranam. Iti Brahmavacha Shrutva Vyasa Kashi Kritālayaha, the 54th Prakarana. In that Kashi Kshetra, Vyasacharya Karena Aniya Gangambu. So he, by his own hands, he goes to Ganga, he brings that water from the Ganga. Jivatvam Sharadam Shatam. So he, even though Vyasacharya very well knows that Bhagavatpāda is going to be there only for a total of 32 years, but it is not, one does not give Ashirvada by saying, "May you live for 32 years. Whenever Ashirvada has to be given, it has to be given as, "May you live 100 years. So even the Veda says, "Pashyeva Sarada Shatam" and so on. So Vyasacharya does Ashirvada to Bhagavatpāda and he says, "Jivatvam Sharadam Shatam." It took to Prokshayamasa Shankaracharya Muttavam. So he did Prokshana of the Ganga Tirtha to Bhagavatpāda. Vyasa Dattajuhu, receiving the ayus given by Vyasa. Utkrishta Teja Purna Kalevaraha. So Bhagavatpāda's Sharira took up a new Tejas. Babhau Shri Shankaracharya Brahma Vyasa Yutastada Vishnu Anisha Sanyukta Mahadeva Padadbhutam. So it was a very special scene there, because Brahma was there in his own form, Narayana was there in the form of Vyasacharya, and Shiva was there in the form of Sri Shankaracharya. So this was a very unique darshana which was got by the people who were present there. Satunatva Munishreshtham Brahmanam Paramastikaha. So Bhagavatpāda did obeisance to the Munishrestha Vyasacharya and to Brahma. And this is a very interesting adjective given to Acharya here, Parama Astika. So of course Acharya is an Astika, but what is this Parama Astika? So Parama Astika, it means the Deva, Devata, the supreme, something which is beyond our Manushya perception exists, and it is that Devata which has come here directly in the form of Brahma. Such great souls like Vyasacharya, who are the Guru, who connect the Deva with Manushya, they exist, and that existence, Asti, Devam, Asti, Acharya, Guru. This is the Pratyaksha Anubhava which Bhagavatpāda is showing us here. So Bhagavatpāda is called here as Paramahastika. This is what I feel. And Kritarthosmi, he bows to that Brahma and Vyasacharya, and he says, Kritarthosmi Bhavatpāda Darshanat, because I received the Darshana of your feet. I am fortunate. Shrinu Acharya Vida Nithyapi Advaitam Paramarthikam Upadeshan Dhranevam Guru Yatnena Sarvataha Ityuktva Antardadhe Brahma Vyasascha Bhagavan Munihi. So when Bhagavatpāda does bow to them, both Vyasacharya and Brahma tell Acharya Bhagavatpāda saying that Vida, all these variations that you see in this world, they are Mithya, and Advaita is the only real truth. And make all efforts to give this Upadesha to all people. And thus saying, both of them disappeared. And Ananta Anandagiri Prakaranam Chatuh Panchasham, that's the 54th Prakarana is completed here. And with the Anugraha of the Guru, let us examine further Prakaranas in further sessions. Sarvabhyapaka Chaitanya Rupena Adhyapi Tishtati Seva Shankaracharyo Guru Mukti Pradasata. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara.